So today we're going to take a look at some ways that we can customize our views in Salesforce and the layout components and records. First thing we want to take a look at is, let's take a look at a contact record. So Jerry Seinfeld, for instance, this is a contact record. And you see the layout here. I can view this many items on this screen. But if I go up to my avatar icon in the top right corner, you'll see I have a display density here. Mine is set to compact. If this is set to comfy, then, and you click refresh, then I will see a more spread out view of my screen. So this is a user by user option if you choose to change your view. So now I have the comfy view, meaning that my layout is a little bit more spaced apart. And again, I can change this view to a compact view by clicking on my avatar in the top right corner of my screen. And under display density, I can switch this from comfy to compact or back and forth. So if I go back to compact and click refresh now, you'll see that I am now able to view a few more items at a time here because they are more compact. There's less spacing on my screen. So again, this is a user-based option, so it will be different for every user. So if you change the screen, it will only appear differently on your view. Now let's take a quick look at how we can customize things on a record. So right now, again, I'm on a contact page. And if I click on my gear icon under setup or up here, you'll see I have under setup, I can edit the page or edit the object. So because I'm on a contact record, I can edit this page or I can edit the object, the contact object. Now, if I click on edit page, this brings me to my Lightning app builder. And we will take a closer look at this, but let's just go back for a moment. And when I'm on my contact page, I can also click on the little gear icon and I can click on edit object. So depending on which page I'm on, I have quick access, quick links to edit the page that I'm viewing. Now let me go to, if we go back under, if I were on, say, I was on the contacts list view here, and I click on that gear icon again, you'll see I only have the option to edit this object because I don't have the option to edit the actual page like I did when I was on that contact record. So again, depending on which page I'm on, I have the quick links to edit that object. Now I'm going to go to setup, and let's take a look at the object manager. So I'm going to type in object manager, and when I click on the object manager, you'll see this is my object manager screen. In the top right corner, you'll see I do have a create button. If you wanted to, you could create a custom object from here. But also notice that on this main object manager screen, I have the label telling me what the object is. I have an API name here. I have a type here, a description, last modified date. But notice under a type, you can see whether an object is a standard object or a custom object. So a standard object would mean that it is a Salesforce native object, or a custom object, which could be custom, meaning it was either created as a custom object within your org, or it came from an installed package. So under API name, you can see that this shows you whether anything ending in the __C means that it is custom. So anything beginning with Synagogue Cloud, for example here, means that it comes from the Congregation Connect package. And anything without those comes from Salesforce. So let's take a closer look at this. let's scroll down here and click on the contact object. You'll see this is a standard object. When I click on the contact object, it shows me all of these items on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to click on fields and relationships on the left-hand side. And again, here you can see that the field name shows me the _ ski means that it is custom. And then over here, we have the field label, and we also have the data type over here for that field. Typically, field types cannot be changed once they are created. Up here, we have a quick find box. This allows us to search for a certain field. So for instance, if I wanted to search for bar, I could easily search for anything beginning with bar, like bar mitzvah, etc. And I can see the types of values that are set for each one of these fields. So let's click on, let's go back to the main fields and relationships screen. I'm going to delete my search. Here are all the fields and relationships that I have on my contact object. So also note that up here on the top right, I can set history tracking. So here I can, any changes on these tracked items will be logged. So you do have the option to set any of these fields that you want to track the history on. Therefore, you should likely select the most important fields that you'd like to track here, and you can click Save at the bottom. But let's go back to the fields and relationships screen. And here in the top right, you'll see that we can create new custom fields. So if I click on New, you'll see that brings me to the new custom field screen. On the new custom field screen, it asks me to choose the field type. So I have to specify the type of information that the custom field will contain. You'll see that there are various data types listed here. So for example, there is the option to select an auto number. For example, a system generated sequence number that uses a display format you define that is automatically incremented for each new record. That would be an auto number field. A formula field is one of the magic fields of Salesforce. It is a read-only field that derives its value from a formula expression that you define. The formula field is updated when any of the source fields change. So this means that this is similar to creating formulas in Excel for a cell. You can create output values based off of other data on the record or on the parent record. So if I am on the contact, I can pull data off of the account record, but not the enrollment record. You can only pull data from higher up on the hierarchy using a formula. Now, on the other end of that, you have a roll-up summary. So a roll-up summary can show you, or it allows you to roll up data from a child record onto the parent record. So you could roll up data from, say, the invoice record onto the account record. There are some limitations on these, but we will take those as we go with them. You just have to keep in mind that Salesforce has built-in validation to ensure that you're correctly entering information into the appropriate field. So remember, as you're selecting a data type here, some of these, for instance, if we were to choose an email, Salesforce is going to expect that that is something@something.com. So you need to ensure that you are using the appropriate field in order to allow users to enter that information into the field. Let's take a quick look. So we also have, so checkbox is obviously true, false. You have date options here, and it's pretty self-explanatory. One thing to keep in mind, for instance, if you were going to use number, if you were going to select a field for a year, you would not want to select number only because it will put a comma in there. So it would say 1,999 for the year 1999, for example. So for a year, we would recommend doing text instead. But just be strategic when you are selecting a field. So let's just take a quick look at a contact record to get a better sense of what these things actually mean. So let's look at Jerry Seinfeld, for instance. Here we have different fields. We have, for instance, we have on this record, if I were to set his age is going to be number. These name, etc., is going to be just text fields. Member portal enabled. This is a checkbox field. Phone number is going to be phone number. Email is going to be email field. So just remember to be strategic about these fields, but it's pretty straightforward as far as the fields go that you see here. Birth date is going to be a date, etc. Marital status. For instance, here I have, this is a pick list. So this would be a good example of what a pick list field looks like, and pretty much understand the different types of fields. So let's just go to back to the object manager here, and let's create a new field. Let's say that we're going to do a checkbox field, and let's do this. We'll use COVID as an example, and let's select next. Field label, let's say, was COVID positive, question mark, and the default value here, you can select a default value for it to be checked or unchecked. Here we're going to leave it unchecked, and this field name automatically fills in for you. You can enter a description here. The description will appear on the, if we look at the object manager, you'll see the field will display when you click on a field, on fields of relationships, it does have a description here. So that's where the description is actually going to appear. The help text here is going to appear if you hover over the text from the actual record, it will show up. So we're just going to, let's just say, select this box to indicate positive. And click next at the bottom. So here it says establish field level security. So here you can choose who this is going to be visible to. Going to deselect all, and let's just say, for example purposes, we're just going to say system administrator, and we're going to click next. Now down here, it's asking you where you want this location to be, where you want this field to actually display. So if we want to add it to the page layout, we're going to keep that selected. So we just want this on our household contact layout. So we're going to keep that one selected. We don't want to add it to any other fields here. So we're going to click, let's click save and new. And let's add another field. Let's create a date field. I'm going to click next. Let's call this date tested positive, and date positive test for help text. You can choose whether you want this to always require a value in the field. We're not going to select that. We will just, we're just going to keep the default selected here, and we're going to click next. here we are again establishing the field level security. Let's just say we want this visible to system administrators only for now. And here we're going to add the field to our household contact layout only, and let's click Save and New. Now we can do another one. Let's do a pick list field. So we're going to do a pick list. And let's say has antibodies question mark. And we will enter the values, each one separated by a new line. We'll say yes, no, not sure, false, positive. So we can choose how we want these values displayed, either alphabetically using first value as default. We're going to restrict the pick list to the values defined in the value set. We are just going to click next. Again, we'll do the same visibility, system administrator, we will click next, and we'll add it to the household contact layout. And then let's just click save. And then let's go to, well, we're going to want to refresh our page to look and see where this ended up on the contact record. Oop. Let's go to let's look at Jerry Seinfeld's contact record again. Let's see if our new fields displayed. Here they are. So was COVID positive, date tested positive, and has antibodies. So these fields are displayed here. We have, when we go to edit these, we'll see our options. When I go to edit has antibodies, I have this pick list. I have the checkbox here, and I have the date field here. So let's say I don't want these up here. I want to move them down here to a different section, for example. I'm going to go back to my setup object manager, and I'm clicking on page layouts on the left. Now for page layouts, I'm going to go to household contact layout. And here I have my fields displayed. We'll see the new fields that I've created. Over here, you see all the fields that are on the contact level. And we will see, what did I call those? Has antibodies. You'll see this is grayed out because it is located down here. So so has antibodies is here, date tested positive is here. All your fields are up here. If they're not gray, then that means you can select them and click and drag to add them onto here. So if I want to move these ones around to a different area, let's say I want to move it just for example to contact information, I can move it down here, click and drag. Was COVID positive, date tested positive, has antibodies, etc. If I wanted to remove the fields, I can click and drag them back up here to move them back up here. And now they are no longer being used, and I can do that with any of my fields. Also, I can, here in the beginning of the field section, I can add a new section. If I want to, I can click and drag. Let's say I want to add a section toward the bottom, down here, and I can call it COVID information. And if I want the layout to be 1 or 2 columns, I can select that. And there's my new column. And I can click and add these fields that I'd like to use back in there. So has antibodies, etc. I can click and drag these into my new COVID information field here. So that is how I add fields and change page layouts in Congregation Connect.